don't think anybody, including our fan base, are afraid to be the villains. So I think that I think that's what makes this play special, is that starting with our coaching staff and our players, we enjoy getting in a fight, and we enjoy the close games, and we enjoy the competition.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
The songs how like me, poets at an arcade, soaking moonlit falls, unbroken past this inundated orb that we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
My name is the Indie Kid.
We're on that weird downtime transition from baseball into football. Look, we just wanted to hang out with you guys. We just wanted to hang out, do a live stream, see what's going on with you guys. We're going to talk a little baseball, a little football, a little basketball. We've got some listener questions, so we'll just get into all of that. As always, go ahead and hit that thumbs up just below the video. We would greatly appreciate it. If you're new, welcome on in to the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go ahead and subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. You won't miss out when we go live, when we drop new content. Like I said, we're going to be talking about a lot tonight. We will stay live as long as you guys want. We'll see what happens. I want to do this. This is not something – people join the channel and become members, and we appreciate that. Like that's a cool thing that you guys do. To show support to us. But if we're not live when you join the channel, then it doesn't highlight and you don't really get recognized. So a few people joined the channel this week while we weren't live. I wanted to highlight them real quick. John Hill joined the channel, as well as Clint Macon. And one of my favorite guys to talk with in the comment section, that's Papa T in South Carolina. Those of you that listen to the Swain event, that's Vol Nation. He calls in quite a bit on Swain's show, so you might recognize him from that. But thank you guys for joining the channel. We appreciate it. Let's run down the live chat, Indie Kid. Let's see who is hanging out. Jason Henson is here. He was here about 2 hours ago and says, let's go already, guys. What are we waiting on? John Hill is here. Matt is here. Comic Book Bob is not here. He dropped by, liked, shared, and said, have a good stream. I'm out of here, guys. I'm out of here. Uncle Cranky Beamer is here. What's going on? Kenny Jones, welcome on in, guys. Welcome on in. I saw a question. I see 86 always smashing that thumbs up, but he wants to know, why aren't we on Patreon? Well, we're not on Patreon because we were on Patreon and we didn't have one supporter for about the 2 years we were on there. So if you want to support us, you can join the channel, drop super chats, pick up merchandise, all that good stuff. You guys show love. We'll go live every week. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Uncle Cranky Beamer says, get Heupel on a live stream and do it now. We'll try.
Cool.
We'll try to do that. Man, I swear a guy like Swain would be a starting point. I guarantee you he would come on. I have no doubt. But I don't know. We just like hanging out with you guys. We like hanging out with you guys. JJ Banks wants to steal the Rocky Balboa picture in the background. So let's just jump in. Let's just start talking. Lot of stuff to talk about. Like I said, we got some fan questions from the Facebook group. We'll get to those, but I want to start with the hot news, the news that everybody was talking about. People are pissed off about. People are angry. And that's Caden Salter. And look, I've made videos. I even did a lunchtime live. People pretty much know where I stand, even though I kind of waffle back and forth. I'm in the middle. I texted you, we were talking about it, and you just said it had to be done. So what are your overall thoughts on this whole thing with Caden Salter?
It had to be done. I really think it did, just because he was just recently, put back on the team, basically. And then he turns around again, and I don't know if I hit that or not.
No, I did.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but I don't know. It's kind of one of those things, one time, so be it, make a mistake, but then you turn around and the exact same thing again right after you're reinstated. I mean, not everything in society is 3 strikes. Sometimes it's kind of a one-time pass and second time, one time's a mistake, second time's a habit, in my opinion on that. So I hate it, for numerous reasons. A young guy getting out probably for the first time on his own and, long way from home. And he just made some mistakes, but he obviously didn't learn from them as well. And we can sit and debate the issue about marijuana all day long. The fact of the matter is it's still illegal in Knoxville. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world, especially with the transfer portal now. I hate it. The guy had potential and stuff, but, the comment's been made, and you made it too. He's been arrested more than he's practiced. That's a problem right there.
Hubs was talking about it today on the Power Hour deal that they do, and brought up a good point. It's not just a little weed. It's more than that. And like you said, the kid's been in trouble more than he's practiced. So, and it's not just that. When you go back to that dorm room incident, I mean, you're talking about assault, and we don't know exactly what went on in that situation, but we do know that Caden Salter was there. So for whatever reason, like I said, we don't know what happened. That situation could have been a lot worse. The victim, that's what you want to call him, the guy that got beat up, decides not to press charges, and that makes that situation not as bad as it could have been. Could have been a whole lot worse. But then, it's just the fact that you get off probation, and within 2 weeks, you're right back in trouble again. And 3 a.m., why are you out at 3 a.m.? I've kind of made all these points, talked about it numerous times, but where I struggle is giving up on kids. And I'm not saying Josh Heupel's given up on him. I think it's timing, circumstances. Josh Heupel, year one, he's got to make that statement, right? He's got to kind of set the standard and almost make an example out of Caden Salter. But it could, on the flip side of that, it could also be one of the best things that ever happens to Caden Salter. He may have to grow up quick in order to move on.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is here. And I don't think it's a matter of giving up on it. I kind of agree with what somebody said here. You were just reinstated, and then you came back. I feel that's disrespecting the program and your fellow teammates right there. You didn't learn from it. So, how many times do you have to learn from it? He's going to get a chance somewhere else. I fully believe that. He'll show up somewhere else, and I hope he does well. But you just can't. I mean, I don't know. I agree with the decision. And again, somebody said it right here. You're a quarterback in an SEC school. Okay? Act like it. Okay? You're not showing you're a leader right there. You're not showing that you have the mindset to come play at the University of Tennessee right there. No matter how good you are or whatever, you've got to have it mentally as well. And I have no problem with him. If he wants to go smoke pot in the dorms or what have you, I don't think anybody has a problem with that. The fact you're getting in trouble with it is another thing. If you want to sit and burn the dorm down with it, so be it. But you got to be smart with that stuff.
That goes back to the point a lot of people want to say, well, all college kids are doing it. Not all college kids are out at 3 a.m. with a busted out tail light. You got to be smarter. You got to make better decisions. And not every college kid is a quarterback in the SEC. And going back to the same point that you touched on in the chat, you're held to a higher standard as a quarterback in the SEC. Whether you like it or not, that's just reality. That's the way it is. And people can say, well, we did that when we were kids, or doesn't matter. It does not matter. You're held to a higher standard. Let me go back and hit this super chat. This will I want to come back to the quarterback situation, but Cody Branch drops a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Cody. We appreciate that. He says, what's your thoughts on the charges being dismissed on the Aaron Willis situation? I think he means Aaron Beasley. I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. Aaron Beasley. I think it comes down to they didn't have enough evidence with the animal abuse and all that. What are your thoughts? You got to – I talked about this today. You have to let things play out. If there's not enough evidence, let him back on. And I think that all signs indicate he's coming back. Yeah,
it seems like there were some kind of crossing up of stories with this and stuff. Yeah, I mean, if there's not enough evidence on it, and it said, they brought in animal control to talk to him, it seems to me like, based on the little bit I've seen, the due diligence was done on it, and it proved that it said that he was allowed to keep his own dog and cat. They determined that. So, I mean, but, who knows the whole story, guys? I mean, we can sit and speculate on it or what. Obviously, he was not found guilty of it. And, I'll go with that. The main thing with it is he knows it, and I'm sure somebody close to it, but there were no witnesses to it, apparently, from the people who were supposedly there. It's a lot of, he said, she said on it. Nobody really specifically come out and said it. So, I don't have a problem. And, I've seen comments today, so he needs to be kicked off. No, why? He's innocent. I mean, or at least he was found innocent on it. So, I've got to go with that on it. I mean, if he's innocent, wasn't charged, he should be reinstated to the team. I mean, it kind of goes back to A.J. Johnson a few years back. Was accused, lost his eligibility, and ended up he was innocent on it. So, there's multiple sides to the stories, and it says the law enforcement. Seems like there was a story to the law enforcement, and then there was a story on a kind of a different story to raise money through Patreon. Right there, where it said the girl raised like $9,000 on it.
For bills, medical bills for the cat or whatever.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, if they're finding him innocent of it, you got to reinstate him there. And there's nowhere for us to.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it's not our place to really criticize it and throw him under the bus or anything like that, because we honestly don't know what happened there. But, the fact of the matter is he was found innocent. Let him come back and have his day.
Uncle Cranky in the chat there says VolQuest.com just reported that he's been reinstated to the team. 100% expected that. And I think the kid can have a big-time year. I really do. I was kind of looking through as a freshman, mostly special teams, only had a couple of tackles. Last year he got a little mop-up duty, little bit more playing time. I think he's a kid that could contribute. I don't think he's going to start, especially with Juwan Mitchell coming on board, but I think he's a guy that obviously adds depth. So it's a good thing to have him back on the team. Man, the linebacker room is looking better and better. As concerned as we were, and I'm not saying it's great by any means, but it's a lot better than having your long snapper working first-team reps in practice. Here's another super chat. Trevor Maffetone. Hope I said that right. $4.99. Thanks so much, Trevor. We appreciate it. And this is kind of going to go back to the quarterback room. Trevor running the show for me. Just let me transition so smoothly. He says, Bailey or Milton, boys, what's your bet? And that's what I want to go back to, is that quarterback room with Caden Salter being dismissed. I don't think that has any effect whatsoever on the quarterback room this year. But we also had a question in the Facebook group. Michael Shadowins says, who is going to start at quarterback?
I'm going with Milton. I think he was brought in for a reason. I've maintained it the whole time. We were told we were crazy for saying it. Joe Milton didn't come to Tennessee to hold a clipboard. He just didn't. And I'm not going to be at all surprised if he starts. But I think I could see Hooker starting. I could see Bailey starting as well. The thing with Bailey, I think he has a little bit of the Josh Dobbs, where they said Dobbs was not a good practice guy, but once he got in the games, it was a different thing. Harrison Bailey's the same way. They didn't really exactly have glowing things to say about him in the spring, but then look what happened once he got to the orange and white game. He lit it up. So, if Harrison Bailey can fix his issues of getting rid of the ball, he's going to be a heck of a quarterback down there. So we'll see how it plays out.
That's the thing about the whole situation is all spring long, all the reports we got were that, Bailey didn't look good in practice at all. And he comes out and the fans see one game, one example, and that's why I think his name's the hot name when you kind of survey the fan base. everybody seems to think Bailey's the guy for the job. I'm with you, man. I said it from jump. I said Milton's coming here for a reason. And they said he showed up. He's huge. He is gigantic. He came in. He went right to work. Even before the team got together, he was in Knoxville and he was going to work. And I think he is coming here with something to prove. Everybody talks about how big his arm is. How does that pan out? You can have the biggest arm in the SEC. Doesn't necessarily mean success. On the flip side of that, Harrison Bailey struggles a bit with the deep ball. And I know everybody wants to go by the orange and white game. He made some nice throws, really nice throws there. He also had a couple of blown coverages. But, again, you don't fault him for that. He took advantage of it. He made nice throws, looked good in the orange and white game. But, I think the thing is wide open. It is absolutely wide open. And don't forget about Brian Maurer. I'm telling you, that kid is in the mix too. I think it's a 4-man competition. It's wide open going into the fall. Do you think we're going to see a 2-quarterback deal until the Florida game? Do you think they narrow it down to 2?
No, I think they'll roll with the main guy. I think whoever wins the job, they'll roll with them. And I'm not counting Hooker out. I think a lot of people are counting Hooker out. If anything, I would put Maurer 4th, just because he's one big play, one terrible play, and it's the same thing. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I still think I'm like you. I think Milton's coming in with something to prove, and they brought him in for a reason. And, out of all the guys, even if that would have included Salter, which it doesn't, but Milton is the only one this staff has brought in. So they didn't bring Hooker in. They didn't bring Bailey. They didn't bring Maurer in. I know they recruited Maurer some, but I'm going to be surprised if it's not Milton. And, I know people – his numbers weren't necessarily great last year. He had some moments with Michigan, but this is supposedly a quarterback-friendly offense. Maybe it suits him right.
I like the point you make that you think they're going to narrow it down and they're going to go with whoever wins the competition. And Hub's made, not to keep Hub's this and Hub that. I'm not trying to blow smoke up Hub's hind end, but I listened to that Power Hour right before we went live, so it's fresh on my brain. But he made a good point about the quarterback situation and that he thinks they either will or they should narrow it down to one starter and not have a 2-man show because of what this team has been through emotionally. Not to say his name, I know people get upset, but with Garantano. And, he talked about him basically getting benched and told he's never going to see the field again. But then the next thing you know, he's out there with a cast on his hand, still as the starting quarterback. That guy had, more opportunities than maybe anybody at the quarterback. And I just think it would be better for this offense, for this team emotionally to pick your guy and ride with him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the last thing they need going in this year is uncertainty at quarterback. I think you need to pick your guy and roll with them. And, if that doesn't mean you just stick with them regardless of what. I mean, if whomever wins the job, then if they get on the field and, they're crapping their pants or they're not getting the job done, you got to make a change then. But, man, after all the quarterback stuff we've been through the last, 4 years, I think you've got to go in and settle. Whomever wins the job, you got to roll with them, at least to Bowling Green, and then go from there. And then, again, that Pitt game will be big too. But, I just think it'd be a bad look. And sometimes, you're forced to go 2 quarterbacks. I don't think that would be a good look out of the gate for them.
No, and if, like you said, if somebody goes out there and they're not getting the job done, I just don't want this going back and forth. It's maybe it's battered ball syndrome of the last few years. I mean, like you said, the way they handled the quarterbacks, just a merry-go-round at all times.
Yeah, and it's I don't think anybody wants to see 2 quarterbacks in the first game. Like you said, somebody said it right here. is what Minden said it here. The quarterback management job, not only last year, but the last 3 years was just horrible because, and we know who it involved every year. And that guy could have easily been pulled and not put back any year, but for some reason he wasn't. So not to beat a dead horse or anything right there, but I don't see the benefit in going 2 quarterback for Bowling Green. I could see the point, but I think it'll be, really, I'm expecting Joe Milton.
You don't want to talk about how Jarrett Garantano gave us the best chance to win?
Oh my God, we should leave it.
Yeah. Thank goodness we don't have to hear that anymore. My gosh.
It was exhausting. I finally deleted that clip of that quote. Oh, I played it more times than I care to remember. All right, let's roll things forward here. We're going to stick with football for now. Another question coming from the Talkin VAWLS Facebook group. If you're not in it, you can jump in it. Just go to Facebook and search Talkin VAWLS under groups. It'll be the first thing that pops up. We'll get you added. We try to interact with you guys. And something I was telling the Indie Kid before we went live, I think this is something we may do moving forward, whether we do it on these random live streams or we do it sometime during the season. Just take questions from you guys and come in, and it kind of gives us some talking points. Credence Wood in the Facebook group says, what are your predictions for the 2022 recruiting class? I had the rankings pulled up right now on Rivals. And of course it's early and I don't know that it matters, but Tennessee is sitting at number 42. Big weekend though. Big weekend for recruiting. Tons of guys on campus. Branson Robinson, the number 1 running back in the country, is on campus right now. And you've got some other guys I've mentioned before, Cam Miller, Brody Foley, Vincent Sneed, who's already committed. Just a lot of kids on campus, right, getting ready to go into the dead period. I'll throw this thing back to you. Where do you think this team ends up at the end of the recruiting cycle?
It's hard to say right now because we don't know what the sanctions are going to be. And I think Tennessee is honestly at the point now they've got to win. And I'm not saying they got to win 9, 10, 11 games or anything, but they've got to be competitive. I saw the comment and I thought it was pretty interesting earlier this week, some of the comparisons, but how much people went on about Ole Miss last year. They really weren't that great, but they were exciting on offense. They were putting points up. I think you need that from this year as well. I think you got to win your non-conference games. You got to win the games you should win this year. And I just think that, especially in state, these recruits have heard it so long, the Tennessee, and they're not seeing results. I think you've got to see some kind of progress this year under this staff because they have missed so much time already because of COVID, where other new staffs, they've kind of had that time to get guys on campus to build those relationships. These guys have not had that time. This is their first times getting guys on campus. And that's a big deal right there. That's a really big deal because, after they took over, they only added, 1 guy by signing day. And I can't honestly answer that just because we don't know the sanctions. And I think the wins and losses are going to have an effect this year. If you go again, win 2-3 games, guys aren't coming for that. There's no way.
No, and I think that's why this first season for Josh Heupel is so crucial. And his back's against the wall because of the sanctions, because of the NCAA dragging their feet. And Elijah Allen here in the chat makes a good point. He said, I looked at recruiting the other day. A lot of kids are warm and they're 4 to 5 star recruits. I think recruiting will pick up, and I think the Vols will close out strong. I would add a big if to the end of that and go back and piggyback on what the Indie Kid just said. If this team can find a way to win, if this team can find a way to be exciting, there are a lot of guys that are interested in Tennessee. Somebody's saying in the chat that Walter Nolan, no way he's coming here. The fact that he dropped Tennessee off of his top 12 and then they clawed their way back in. People came into the comment section, told me I was a psychopath and had no idea what I was talking about. Then they find out that Walter Nolan was on campus at the exact time I was making that video. if they can win, if they can get it done on the field, that's what's going to be important. If they're comparing them to Ole Miss is perfect, but there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a lot of guys like a Cam Miller. You know, I think he is a guy that is so close to pulling the trigger. There's a lot of guys, like Elijah said, that are warm and they're interested, but there's negative recruiting going on with the NCAA violations right now. Obviously, we know that. And why is this going to continue to drag on? I mean, how many months have we been into this thing? How many months is this going to drag out? You know, Brent Hubbs on BallQuest listed out the money that Tennessee is spending to interview people. Lawyers are why is this still dragging out? And Hubs. That's all I'm talking about. But man, there's a reason I pay $9.99 every month to VolQuest, because Hubs said if this was Doug Dickey, he would have said enough's enough. Just give us, we're done. We're not interviewing anybody else. We're not going to do anything else for you. So go ahead and drop the hammer. Give us what you want to give us so we can move forward, because the longer this drags out, the more it's going to impact recruiting.
Yeah, and I've seen it from numerous, comments about guys canceling official visits and stuff because they're worried about sanctions. So, yeah, the NCAA needs to, get with it. There's been enough time at this point. There should not be any more interviews or anything. Like you said, it needs to be to the point of we've done everything we've asked. We've interviewed everyone. Give us our sanctions and let's get it over with so we can get on with it. And I don't even think a one-year bowl ban is the end of the world right there. It's
no,
it's just not. And
it's going to only impact the guys that are on campus now. It's really not even going to impact the class of 22.
It's not. I mean, it'll impact this year, and then we'll see where it goes next year right there. I mean, it's possible it could go multi-years, but I don't think any worse than 2 years. But, I think with this staff, they're going to be able to recruit. Obviously, they've got a major cloud over their head, but you made the comment, Heupel's back's against the wall. I think it more so than at any other time, I felt with Pruitt and with Jones, maybe they had a little bit of leeway coming in just because of what they'd taken over. But I think a Tennessee program is at a crossroads of, being relevant again. They're honestly at a crossroads where if this is a bad hire and you don't win this time, that hole is going to be very deep to dig out of, because the program, just when we think we've hit rock bottom, there's another rock bottom behind that. I think it is extremely important, and somebody mentioned how Heupel has hit the transfer portal hard. He's coming in to win now. I don't think there's going to be any excuses or anything like we've heard before down there. I think they're going to come in, and one thing I think we're going to like about this staff is they're going to come in and play to win. They're not going to play not to lose. And there's a big difference in that statement. And, you and I have talked about it all. We've mentioned on show, we talked about it all. I think they run Bowling Green out of the stadium game one. I cannot stress how huge that Pittsburgh game is. They have got to win that game, and that is no disrespect to Pittsburgh at all right there. But, one of our coaches at some point needs to come in and make a statement immediately. I don't expect him to go down to Florida and beat Florida. Okay, that's asking a lot in a first year, but going into Florida 3-0, that's not asking a lot right there, because Tennessee is used to taking care of business in non-conference games for the most part. That sends a statement that you mean business down there, because I just really feel that if they lose that Pitt game, the pitchforks are going to be out already, unfortunately, because it's like people are just waiting to get them out, and that's unfortunately going to bring them out. But huge game right there. But I really think his staff's going to be able to recruit well. They've got a lot of guys that are proven good recruiters. And, if they put an exciting brand on the field, the results will come.
I want to hit this comment while we're still talking about recruiting. David Speaks says, if we get Nolan and Caden Curry, I'll be singing Rocky Top all over Jacksonville. And that's why, people talk about Josh Heupel and they call him a lazy recruiter. And it drives me absolutely nuts. Because, again, what I just said about Nolan, a guy that one of the best players. I think he's the number one player in the state. And people were just saying that he had written Tennessee off, and Tennessee fights their way back in. And then a guy like Caden Curry, again, when I did a spotlight on him, and people again said, you're crazy. He's going to Ohio State. He's an Ohio State kid. Taven Jackson, man, is a huge part of this thing. And I love the coaching staff. Taven Jackson, this is the first weekend in about a month, I think, that the kid's not been on campus. And that's because I can't remember. He's got some type of competition going in. I don't know if it's 7-on-7, something along those lines. So he's not able to come in this weekend. But the fact that he is best friends with Caden Curry, that's huge. And just getting Caden Curry down here for an unofficial visit. And then what happens? He talks about the relationships and how much he loves the atmosphere. And I think that him coming down this month is going to lead to an official visit this fall. Put out that exciting product. Win ball games, man. Win ball games, be exciting. And I think they're going to come out. The question was, where does Tennessee end up with this recruiting class for 2022? I think they should be top 25.
Yeah. I will say, I think they can go top 20. Best case, you put an exciting product, you win some games, you could push top 10 right there. But, they've got their cornerstone with Taven Jackson. The Walter Nolan would be huge. And is he, if I'm not mistaken, is he not looking to move to Knoxville? Because he's in Memphis now, but
he's moving east, but I don't know where he's going.
How big would that be if he's in Knoxville? Because that means, he could unofficial visit at any time or what have you. They could have a real presence set up with him. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that you get Walter Nolan. I'm not sure by any means that they're the leader for him right now. Seems like Florida is in decent shape with him, but
I keep going back to that wild card though, man.
Yeah.
Walter Nolan, Caden Curry, both. Rodney Garner. Who do you think can put you in the league better than any defensive line coach in the SEC? Who's one of the best recruiters? Rodney Garner is that ace up our sleeve for those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the OGs of SEC recruiting. Because, you think of, a lot of you guys may or may not remember it. He was pretty vital in that national championship team. He was in on, who was it? Jamal Lewis, Deion Grant, Cozy Coleman. That was three of his guys. And when he left, Tennessee lost a big recruiting piece right there that they've never, that's why everybody gets excited anytime Rodney Garner's name's been mentioned coming back. I remember Lane Kiffin went after him hard. He's been mentioned at some other point too. I can't remember when it was, but yeah, he's a big, big piece. And, you look at, I think Banks will be a good recruiter. I think Jean-Marie will. You can't tell me Mike Eckler can't be a good recruiter. I mean, dude's got more personality. I mean, I got to imagine if he's on you, he's going to be nonstop. I got to think he's a terrific recruiter.
I want to go back up to this comment, and this will let us kind of transition out of football. If you guys want to talk more football, let us know. We're kind of letting you lead the show, but we got a few questions that we're going as well. John Hill here, member of the channel. We appreciate that. John says, any news on what Tennessee offers Tony Vatello for salary? Heard possibly the highest paid baseball coach. Any news? And I do want to transition to that because Brian Short in the Facebook group also said, I want you guys to talk about Tony Vatello's contract. And that highest paid baseball coach came from Jason Swain. He retweeted it, said, per sources, Tennessee is prepared to make Tony Vatello the highest paid coach in college baseball. He clarified that later and said highest paid coach at the time. He fully expects Corbin to get a raise, Van Horn to get a raise. A lot of people are going to get a raise once this Tony Vatello contract comes out. But LSU, I think I saw that they are going to pay that Arizona coach around $1.5 million, and I think his buyout was $1 million. So when it's all said and done, what do you think Tony Vatello's contract is going to look like? Not just total money, but incentives too, because I don't think his incentives were that great this year. And I know because of the COVID stuff that he passed on all of his bonuses, but I still don't think they were that great.
I don't know about what his bonuses were, but I would imagine going forward, probably in that 1.6, 1.7 range. I don't think he'll become the highest. Because what's Corbin at now? And he bought 1.9.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I think he'll get bumped over 2. I think he'll be the highest paid, especially if they keep rolling in the College World Series.
You talking about Corbin?
Yeah.
Yeah, they won today. I mean, of course, NC State was shorthanded. But it's still did you see that? What the NC State had 13 players only on the roster today?
Well, I saw where they came out and lined up for the national anthem, and a buddy of mine that coaches basketball, he was laughing, comparing it to Hoosiers, and he was like, "Where's your team?" He's like, "That is my team," because there's like 12 guys standing out there for the national anthem.
Yeah, they played Vandy tough and just didn't take advantage of some opportunities. But I'm curious to see where Vatello goes. I think 1.6, 1.7. I think there'll be incentives in there, and I don't know a time frame though. You got to think it's coming sooner rather than later. And we've said it the whole time. The biggest thing with Vatello is not going to be so much the years and the money. It's facilities. That's the big thing. So, how much are they given to facilities? And I know it was mentioned when they come to South Carolina that the admin and stuff were touring South Carolina's facilities. I can tell you firsthand. Now, I've not seen like their weight rooms and stuff, but that stadium is top notch. It is like a minor league ballpark up there. It holds around, over 8,000, and super nice ballpark. If Tennessee in any way replicates that, they'll be doing really well. But facilities and money, but I really feel confident that Vatello is going to be there for a long time now.
I want to say we're going to make a couple of more comments on baseball, then I'm going to hit that super chat. And look, when you guys start throwing money at us, you control the show. If you want to talk football, we'll shut down baseball talk real quick when you're dropping super chats and want to talk football. So let me make that clear. We'll wrap up this baseball talk real quick. But I do also want to say we got 115 people watching live right now on a random Friday night. We decided to do this just a few hours ago. We appreciate you guys being here and hanging out. Do us a favor and hit that thumbs up. We got 59 thumbs up right now. Can we get it to 75? I mean, I'm not asking all 115 of you to do it, just a handful. Let's get it to 75. It helps the channel. It helps us, and we would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to get to that super chat, but I want to say one last thing, and if we come back to baseball, we do. If we don't, we don't. Obviously,
I got a thing, too, before you finish, so go ahead.
Tony Vatello's name heavily mentioned with the LSU talk. The press conference after Texas beat Tennessee, they get booted out of the College World Series. They asked Tony Vatello. He said he hadn't been in any communication with LSU at all. And then shortly after, you and I are celebrating via text message that LSU has their list down to 3 and Tony Vatello's not mentioned. Do you think Tony Vatello listened and said no? Or do you think they came to him and he said, I'm not interested, period. I don't care what you offer, because later on a radio show, he goes back to those loyalty shirts. And I think we mentioned it on one of our post-game shows, how convenient that was that they broke those shirts out at that time. I'm starting to think Tony Vatello never had any interest in going anywhere. He is committed to the University of Tennessee, and he wants to build his brand instead of going and piggybacking off of an LSU or off of a Texas A&M.
I don't know. I think it's probably somewhere in between. Agent behind the scenes maybe had some contact with them and stuff, but I don't know that it ever got too far, because Tennessee was put out, and it's like, the next day it's down to Jay Johnson, East Carolina's coach, and Notre Dame's coach. So
very quick, very, very quick.
So I don't, maybe they didn't hit her. I could see a personality clash there, because he's a pretty fiery guy, and LSU, there's a different personality down there. I don't know that he wanted to leave, and I've heard it said with him as well. He's kind of his own guy, wants to do it. And I've said it on here. Do you want to follow a couple legends and be held to that, or do you want to be the legend? And he's got a chance to do that down there. Somebody made the comment earlier up here about he wants more money for assistants. A little bit of news today: they did lose Ross Kivitt, who got tossed the other day. He got hired at Houston as a full-time assistant.
What a way
Yeah.
to go out your final game.
What a way to go out. But, that's the sucky thing about college baseball. You've only got 2 full-time paid assistants. He was basically a volunteer assistant. Now, from what I gather, he still makes money off camps and things of that nature. But, they were talking about approving that 3rd assistant coach a couple years ago, and it's gone nowhere. So, I don't know. Baseball kind of gets the crap end of the stick with scholarships and with assistants because it's, not everybody's got like with Texas, a Troy Tulowitzki who's worth about $60 million, who can come in and afford to be part-time or what have you right there. So, congrats to Ross for going to Tennessee. That's the first turnover they've had. And, I feel pretty confident if it was a full 3 spots, you probably wouldn't have lost him. But, hats off to him. Congrats to him. Hate to lose him. But be curious to see where Tennessee goes to replace him because he did have a lot of responsibilities down there as well. And, he was evidently on pace to be the Bobby Cox of Tennessee while he was at it. So
I wanted to use that clip on this channel, but we try to keep it PG-13, so I just left that one out. But that would have been an epic one to use anytime somebody gets pissed off. Let me hit this super chat. Like I said, you guys are in charge of the show. If you throw money at us, we'll change direction. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. We're 69 days away from football. We're trying to transition into that, but there's just not a lot of news coming out. But hey, man, we just want to hang out with you guys. Trevor back with another $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Trevor, for that. We appreciate it. He says, if Coach Hype can get the QB right in this offense quick, what is the team's ceiling? Oh, man, we've talked about this several times. Let me just throw the schedule back up there, and we'll talk about the team's ceiling because, as Indy Kid said, as we've said multiple times, as we've talked about off air multiple times, that Pitt game it may be the biggest game on the schedule for me. And I think if you get through those first 3 games, you're 3-0 going into Florida, you've got some steam, you've got some momentum. And, I don't expect to beat Florida. One of the people in the comments section, regular listener of the show, I can't ever remember who it is dead set that Tennessee is going to go to the Swamp and beat Florida. If this team starts off 4-0, you talk about expectations skyrocketing immediately. They're going to be expecting to be undefeated going into Alabama if this team finds a way to beat Florida and open 4-0. But that Pitt game is just huge. You win that game, you're 3-0, and then you've got games that are winnable to me. I see Missouri, I see South Carolina, I see Ole Miss, Kentucky, and then obviously all your non-conference games in Vanderbilt. What's the ceiling? I would say the ceiling is 8 or 9 wins. What is my expectation? My expectation is this team goes 6-6. 5-7 is a disappointment, but I'm not going to be on here saying it's time to fire Josh Heupel.
I think ceiling 9-3. Bowling Green, Pitt, Tennessee Tech, Missouri, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Kentucky, South Alabama, and Vanderbilt. All winnable games right there. I would go to say that Pitt, Missouri, South Carolina, Kentucky are also, and Ole Miss are also games you better show up to play or you could lose those games as well. But so that would be, best case 9-3. I don't think you can go less than 6-6. I think you're gonna have you're gonna have the pitchforks out if you go any less than 6-6. And
let me say that innocent culprit in the chat says 3-9. He says 4-8, possibly 3-9. A lot of people are down on this team. They're down on Josh Heupel. So if you're saying the ceiling is 4-8, how do you blame Josh Heupel for that? How do you blame a guy that just came in, inherited this roster, didn't really have an opportunity to do anything, a guy that's facing NCAA sanctions? How do you really blame him when your expectation is to win 3 to 4 games? I think every game on this schedule is winnable outside of the top 3.
Yeah, I do too. And I think you've got to get Pitt. They're coming to Knoxville. I think you've got to get that one. October 9th, you've got to get South Carolina. They're coming to Knoxville. That Ole Miss game is going to be entertaining. You know, if Tennessee's offense is anything like we think it will, that is going to be a very high-scoring game right there. That is going to be fast-paced, high-scoring. You've got to get South Alabama. You've got to get Vanderbilt. You know, I think there's just no way around it. 6-6 should be the floor.
Let me hit these couple of super chats, and then we'll keep going with this. Blueberry J drops $4.99, but he forgot to type any words. But then he figured it out, and he said, "Love you guys." And then he said, "Thanks for all the content. Hope this helps a little." It does, Blueberry J. We appreciate it. And then he's like, okay. I got this super chat thing figured out now. I'm going to throw another $4.99 at you guys and say 12-0. I like it, Blueberry J. I like it. And, yeah, thanks for the support. Every super chat helps. We appreciate it. Look, this show, it's fun. Like, we love coming on here and talking to you guys, hanging out, interacting. We're all real life friends. That makes it fun too. But it is a sacrifice. You know, it takes time away from our families. We make sacrifices to drop videos, to do live streams. So the more you guys help and support us, maybe one day we can just all quit our jobs and Talkin Vols will be a full-time gig. But until then, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Sorry, Eddie Kid, go ahead.
No, I agree with Michael Palmer down here where he says 3 gimmies in non-conference, 2 gimmies in conference. I don't see any reason they should lose to Vanderbilt or South Carolina. South Carolina's new staff, I don't even know who their quarterback's going to be up there. There is absolutely no reason for South Carolina nor Vanderbilt to come in and win. There's no reason for Bowling Green, Tennessee Tech, nor South Alabama to come in as well. That's 5 games you absolutely positively have to win, and then there are 4 more very winnable games on that schedule. Now, granted, 2 of them are on the road, 2 of them are at home. We'll see with October 16th right there because, you know, make no bones about it, I know everybody loves Lane Kiffin. He's still not above a bonehead decision. So we'll see what it comes down to. Which defense just steps up and makes a play? You don't have to make a bunch of plays. Who makes a play when it counts? Right there. Kentucky's just a sneaky team. You know, Stoops has been there a while. He's done a good job up there. Drinkwitz at Missouri had them playing really good ball at the end of the year. They really didn't beat any good teams, but still yet they beat who they should. So, you know, he seems like he's a pretty good coach and has that program going in the right direction. But I'm going to say the floor is 5-7. The ceiling is 9-3. Florida is going to be tough. Georgia, I think Georgia is going to be – Georgia has a chance to win it all this year. It's going to depend on their coach because he makes some decisions that aren't the greatest in the world. He's a good coach, make no bones about it, but –
great recruiter, but
absolutely.
I feel like he underperforms. I feel like he always underperforms. Blitz 621 $4.99 super chat. Thank you for the support. Says, isn't the first game September 2nd? Yeah, it is. They moved it to that Thursday night, and that's just an old schedule that I had pulled up just to kind of run down the games. Elijah Allen for $4.99. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate the support. Says, I just want to have a competitive game with Georgia again. Me too. You don't even realize I probably hate Georgia more than I hate Alabama or Florida. I absolutely despise that football program. I despise their fan bases. Depending on who you ask, I may have got face-to-face with a 9-year-old kid and told him just how bad his program sucks. That's how bad I hate Georgia. Dylan Robertson for $9.99. Thank you for raising the bar and dropping that beautiful gold color on us with that $10 super chat. Says, people are crazy not to think that Coach Hype will work. Just listen to the players. They are more relaxed. That alone is going to make a huge difference in how they play on Saturday. I'll just be honest with you guys. I get excited every time a new coach comes in. I believed in Lane Kiffin. I believed in Derek Dooley, Butch Jones. I believe in everybody. I'm loyal to a fault. And usually when I go on Facebook and start venting my frustration and say it's time to fire a coach, I usually get about 15 comments that say it is beyond time to fire the coach because Boogie has given up. So I love Heupel. I love air. I think he is a breath of fresh air. But I also said the same thing about Jeremy Pruitt. When he came in behind Butch Jones, I said, Butch Jones is a used car salesman. Jeremy Pruitt came in and he said all the right things, but he didn't do all the right things. And that's, I feel like so far, and he's not coached a single game. We don't know, but I feel like Josh Heupel has done the right thing so far.
I was never on board with Pruitt. Never liked him. I just didn't. I mean, I started to come around a little bit in year two, but there was just two. He just was never a good coach. I don't ever really hardly remember a very good coached game down there from him. And but not to rehash the past or anything. I'm same as you. I think Heupel's been exactly what they've needed. He's been a breath of fresh air, and people act like they settle. That was all they tried to get was Heupel. Guys, a lot of you at Fallen, I think they were really close to getting James Franklin.
Very, very close.
I think that was close. And, Franklin didn't want to go through it. But I still think Tennessee did pretty good considering the state of the program, where it was at, and all that. I think we've done pretty good getting Heupel. It definitely could have been worse. Could it have been better? If it would have been Franklin, that would have been a big hire, but I
liked Elliott. That's who I was behind for a long time. If they could have got Franklin, I would have been happy. But the more I looked into Heupel, the more I've seen what he's done since he's been here. I'm happy, man. I am happy. And it may not work out. We may be right back here in 3 years doing a coaching search all over again. I hope not. And you've said it a million times behind the scenes. We Tennessee fans, and the Talkin VAWLS network, we need success.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to. I mean, nothing we haven't said. But people's going to eventually check out on it if it just continues going the way that it's gone. They just are. It's going to get to a point people are like, screw this. We're not getting anywhere. It's the same old, same old. We're tired of hearing it. I mean, I've said it on here before when I, took my sabbatical from here. That was the reason I was over it. I was over it when Pruitt come on board. Didn't like him. Didn't see it going anywhere with him. And frankly, I was pretty happy I didn't have to spend 2 years talking about that imbecile. So it's
wasn't easy.
No, I mean, but you got me back into doing the post-game videos last year. It's kind of fun. But I was just surprised at how much support he had. He was a sorry coach, but
I think it was the SEC ties. People saw what he did as a defensive coordinator, but good gosh, look where he did it. Look where he did it. He had all the talent in the world. And I mean, I think he did some good things on defense, but look at that defense last year. An absolute disaster. So
now I will say this. In his defense, I think he left the program in better shape than he inherited it. I really do. Now, some of these guys leaving through the portal, it's just part of it. The portal wasn't around when he took over. It may have been a different scenario then. But, in terms of like the lines, these are veteran lines. They just need somebody to coach them up. And I feel confident that Ellerby is going to improve the offensive line. And I feel very confident Rodney Garner is going to improve the defensive line right here. And that's going to be huge for this program because it's not going to matter who's at quarterback if the line cannot block. And, we've seen that before. I really think we're going to see a big improvement out of the offensive line this year.
I'm going to hit this comment, then I'm going to hit these super chats, but I've seen a couple of these, so I'm going to highlight it real quick. Where did you get that Johnson City t-shirt? They want to know. Is that a Boomtown shirt?
Yeah, it's a Boomtown shirt.
So
yeah,
they have a website.
I figured you would have got you one of the Sullivan South shirts they put out.
Well, I went on there to order a South shirt, and then they had like 4 shirts that my wife liked. but they were all out of stock. So I did order the villain shirt so we can be the Bobsey twins next year when baseball season rolls around. I got that one, and then I got the old school logo Ringer, old school Nike logo shirt that Tony Vatello wears all the time. I picked
the gray one.
those up. I love that shirt, man.
Where'd you find it?
It was on the same place the villain shirt, Ball
Really?
Shop. Yeah.
I've got a credit on there. I may have to go utilize it. Yeah, I love that shirt.
I love that shirt. He wears it all the time. Let me hit these couple of super chats. We'll keep rolling, guys. We're almost an hour in, but you keep throwing money at us. We got 125 people watching. 2 people hate us, but 100 love us. That's great. That's good odds. I'm happy with that. We'll keep rolling, man. We'll keep rolling and talking as long as you guys want to go. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. We just appreciate the tips, whether they're $1 or $5. John Hill for a $5 super chat says, wondering how many portal transfers are one and done. Will next year be harder if we lose too many? The thing about that is that you got to remember is it's a one-time transfer, immediate eligibility one time. So when you get a kid through the transfer portal, if they leave the next year, they got to sit out. But this super chat, as well as the previous comment, you were talking about the South Carolina, new coaching staff, brings me back to Karan Prunty. And that is a kid that I think can make an immediate impact. And it's down to Tennessee and South Carolina. And you talking about that new South Carolina staff, I like Tennessee's odds with him. I've made a few videos on that kid. Do you have any thoughts, or, have you really looked much into it?
Yeah, but I can't gather where he's leaning. I know I had
he's
seen
playing
that.
It close. He's not really staying.
It seemed like coming out of his South Carolina visit that he thought pretty highly of them, that they felt pretty good. But I've also seen people say that his Tennessee visit went really well also. So supposedly, did he say a day? I know he said this weekend.
All he said was this weekend. So
it'd be big. Freshman All-American from Kansas, good size. And they need help in the secondary because you're going to lose some guys after this year, I would assume. And he would be a big pickup for Tennessee. I really think so.
I really wonder if he could push for a starting job. I think Alontae Taylor's going to be a starter, but, Warren Burrell, Kenneth George, kind of back and forth. Who's going to get that other corner spot? I think he could be right in the mix. I really, really do.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're going to have a few guys. You've got Haddon that transferred from Auburn. I think he's going to be in the mix. You got Alontae, you got Kenneth George, you got Burrell. I think it could be a sneaky, decent secondary this year. And you've got Banks? Is he trying to think? Oh, Willie Martinez. Willie Martinez is the best secondary coach we've had down there in a long time. And when he was there were results. There were guys going to the league. There were guys playing up to their potential. I don't think that any other coaches have gotten the job done in the secondary down there since Willie Martinez, and hadn't really been anybody in a while before him, probably since Chavis was there. But I don't know. It's funny enough, Butch Jones, of course, these were for the most part, Martinez guys, there's a few guys from that secondary over those years are in the league making some pretty good money right now. That's fine, but that's fine, I see. But he's the best secondary coach we've had down there in a long time.
I think a lot of people don't like him because who he was coaching under at the time. I think that's a big factor.
Yeah, and I think – I'm curious to see where the commitment goes this weekend. And, I will say this, and I'm not taking up for him by any means, but people try to compare Knoxville and Columbia. Columbia is a cool city. I mean, I live an hour from there. We go up there pretty often. It's a pretty cool place. Hadn't been to Knoxville in a long time. Obviously, think a lot of Knoxville too, but Columbia is not just a dump.
I'm just going to stop you right there for a second.
Just look around. You got the mountains. You got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school.
What'd you say about Columbia again?
It's still nice, man. It's not a dump, but yeah. I mean, Knoxville, the backdrop and everything's phenomenal. There's no doubt about it.
me go back and hit this super chat from Elijah Allen for $4.99. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. He says, I trust Danny White. I think Coach Hype can, at the very least, stabilize the program. I've seen a lot of people say that that's what Josh Heupel was brought in to do, and that's why his contract is so lengthy. That's why he has that added year. What if they get a postseason ban? He gets a year. Is that what it was? I think that's in his contract. So. I think it's just for every postseason year they're banned, he gets another year. I don't know, man. Maybe to stabilize, but I think. Indy Kid, you said it earlier. He's here and he's here to win now. He ain't trying to stabilize nothing. And you have to give him credit for what he has done in the transfer portal because he has filled needs. He's got talent. The kid from Mississippi State at wide receiver, he's done a good job in that transfer portal. Pecan, my good buddy Pecan, big time super chatter says, here's $2. Where my Winky the Pooh's at? Laugh out loud, good riddance. The amount of money that Pecan sent to us to say Winky the Pooh. We appreciate the super chats, though, Pecan. I'm glad you're here. I hadn't seen you in a while, buddy.
Man, there's what we've said it on here. Is there a guy who did less during his time down there?
I can't think of anybody.
Jim Chaney's a close second. Jim Chaney's a real close second.
I'll say it again. I've said it over and over and over, but I don't blame Jim Chaney for what happened this second time around in Knoxville. I blame Jeremy Pruitt. I don't think. Quit using your Hoosier reference. He must be behind. I made one Hoosier reference. How can you hate that movie? That's a great movie. Sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. But the thing I like about Heupel's transfers that he's picked up is, he's gotten a couple guys who are probably one and done, but he's also looked at guys who are going to be there multiple years as well. So it wasn't just the quick fixes or anything. He's got guys that, they're looking to bring in and develop. Also, I mean, you look at Milton, he's got 3 years left. I think Peyton's got 1 year left, if I'm not mistaken. But
Peyton might be the only guy that only has a year.
I mean, Juwan Mitchell, I think, could be, but I think he has the option for 2. Most of your Tremblay from USC, I think he's 1.
Yeah.
I think the kicker has an option for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. Maybe he's 1 year, but most of the guys are multi-year guys coming in. That's going to be big right there. And, here's something we talked about recruiting as well. This transfer portal has totally changed the game because you got a maximum of 25 signing. I think you've got to want to each year leave some spots to hit the portal, especially if you're a team like Tennessee. If you have a good year, you're an exciting team, you're on the upward swing. Some of these bigger portal guys are going to give you that consideration. It's not going to be a case where we're going to fill up half the top 10 in the portal rankings every year. Fortunately, I don't see that happening again, but you've got to leave those spots, but I like what they've done. And really the biggest question mark on the team's at linebacker, but that room's starting to take a little bit of shape right now. You've got Willis back. Beasley was reinstated. You got Juwan Mitchell. I'm
curious to see what Roman Harrison does. I think he's a guy that could fight for some playing time.
Man, I'm curious about him because he hasn't played that position before. So, how much of an adjustment is it for him? And I don't think he got a whole lot of practice during the spring. So, we'll see. But I think there's some good position groups on this team when you look. All right, this team is not void of talent. All right, maybe it's been void of coaching for the last bit. I really feel there is plenty of talent on this team. I mean, you go back and look at the recruiting rankings. Yes, they lost some guys to the portal, but there's still some talent down here. And they just need some loving. They need some loving, some coaching.
Let's transition to the super chat because you saying that they've got some good position groups. Trevor back with another $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Trevor. Says, what position group are you guys most excited about outside the quarterback room? And I'm going to say it anyway. Maybe it's because of one player, but for me, it's the running back room. And I think there is, when you look at a position group that lost what they lost, losing Eric Gray, and say what you will about Chandler, he was a good running back, maybe not great, but I think that running back room is not going to miss a beat. I think they are going to be solid, and it starts with Jabari Small. And I said it last year. Every time he got an opportunity, I loved the way he ran the ball. He runs downhill. He's a very athletic, hard-running back. I love Jabari Small. And then all we hear all spring long is his work ethic. He comes to practice. He puts in the work. I think he is a solid player that is going to lead the way. You got some other guys. What can Tylen Evans do? I'm interested to see what he can do because he was very, very limited in spring, but that's a guy with a ton of potential.
He was huge too. Not in height, but I mean, he is a horse built wise.
Well, he was the guy coming in that a lot of people were hyping up like he was going to be the guy. So, him being limited in spring kind of sucks because we don't really know, but it kind of excites me for fall camp to see what he can do when he's healthy. And then obviously D Beckwith, man, a guy that, again, I mean, you talk about huge, but he doesn't run huge, man. He has good pad level. I'm excited about him. And then all the buzz around Jalen Wright. That's another guy that really got hyped up. He's got to learn how to pass protect. He's a young kid. But I just think that running back room has a ton of talent. And I'm not going to spoil your pick, but a lot of people are going to talk about that wide receiver room. So maybe I did spoil your pick.
I knew where you was going. Yeah. I like what they got at receiver. I'm excited to see some of these guys turned loose where, we saw the same stuff out of guys last year. Velus Jones finally started coming on at the end of the year when he finally started getting his opportunities. Hyatt, he was I feel his opportunities were limited. He got some, but your Callaways, your Holidays, obviously Weidman is gone. So, that was one people were excited about right there. But Javante Payton is going to be a good pickup, another speed guy. This wide receiver unit's got a ton of speed. And, what does Velus Jones say? He said this offense is a wide receiver's dream.
Yep.
Right here. So I really feel it's going to be a good offense. The key to the offense, and which it is every year, it's going to be the offensive line. And, there is some potential on that line, though. It's not like you've got a bunch of walk-on. There's a possibility you've got a walk-on starting, but, based on everything they said, he graded out consistently well. But
didn't he grade out better? Am I wrong? Did he grade out better than any other offensive lineman?
I'm not sure on that, but I know that they said his
maybe tackle,
but he consistently graded out top 5 each day. So I don't see any. I really think the offensive line is going to be much better. All I've heard is really positive stuff on Ellerby. I know which one of the linemen that visited, was it Nichols, who talked about he went through kind of a personal session with Ellerby when he was visiting and spoke really highly. He said, I learned things that, I've never been taught before.
I feel like that's a kid that's a very, very strong Tennessee lean too.
Well, he's got the ties, and that would be big. Some of these guys that have ties have stopped picking Tennessee. That would be big because you need linemen, because after this year you'll lose Cade Mays. And you may lose. Oh gosh, let's don't go TVA again. Let's retire that one.
Boom
right
damn.
There. Yeah.
It's going to be talking ball shirts. Boom damn.
Yeah, boom damn. But offense should be. I'm also really curious to see the secondary. I think his secondary has some potential. There's some veteran guys, but especially if they add the guy from Kansas tomorrow, they have really replenished the secondary. And, you're pretty much all your starters are coming back except for Bryce Thompson. And, you know, I liked him, decent player. He wasn't irreplaceable.
He should have come back. Obviously.
He should have came back. He got
Obviously.
some bad advice on that. And probably the coaching change may have added to that also. But I think that secondary's got potential to be decent this year as well.
Well, my back is starting to kill me. We're going to have to wrap things up, but we do have one last question. We've not talked about basketball at all, and we got a question from one of our listeners, Steven Snyder, in the Facebook group. Says, what do you think about the Tennessee basketball non-conference schedule this year? So this is the Indie Kids specialty. I'll let him chime in on this, and unless you guys start throwing a bunch of money at us, I've got to go sit down in my recliner because my back is killing me.
Let's see. Let me share the non-conference schedule here real quick. All right. So UT Martin versus ETSU. Then here it starts getting really interesting. Hall of Fame tip-off tournament, Villanova, and then they will play either North Carolina or Purdue. Then you got Tennessee Tech. You got Presbyterian, which is actually just a little over an hour up the road from us, at Colorado. So that's a return from last year when Tennessee played Colorado in Knoxville. Texas Tech, they're playing them in Jimmy V Classic, Madison Square Garden. That'll be a fun game. Texas Tech's had a really good program last few years. Went to the national title game, 3 years ago, I guess it was, when Virginia won it. Memphis at Bridgestone Arena versus Arizona at Thompson Bowling. And then it was just added a couple days ago, the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Rick Barnes makes his return to Texas, at Texas. Of course, Texas has got a new coach. Texas Tech's old coach Chris Beard is now the coach there. This is a murderer's row of non-conference scheduling right here. That's big boy basketball right there. I love it. And this comes in handy a lot with basketball because Bruce Pearl was big on doing it. He always played a good non-conference schedule. It gives you a little bit of leeway with conference. If you maybe drop off a little bit, if you win some big non-conference games, that shows out big to the committee. And, you know, I think it played a factor this year. Each year under Rick Barnes, they played a tough non-conference schedule. This is probably the toughest one since he's been here. I love it. If you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best. I know what you cue up.
Wait, what did you say? Wait, say that again. I didn't quite hear you.
I think somebody can say it better than I can.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. And I'm saying, woo, right here.
Yeah, I love it. I love the conference schedule. I think the SEC schedule is going to be – I think the conference keeps getting better in basketball. I think it's a very underrated conference. I would say it was every bit as on par, if not better, than the ACC last year. Now, it's not traditionally been the case. Obviously, I expect the ACC to bounce back and be better this year, but I'm excited about Tennessee basketball. You know, I made numerous videos on it. I love what they did. I love how they really restocked that roster. Fulkerson back. Of course, Fulkerson, you know, they said today he had wrist surgery. He injured it sometime over the last few weeks. So I don't know what his time frame is, but their recruiting class, and it's just top notch what they brought in with Kennedy Chandler. You have Mashak from California, who just won a state championship out there. He put a show on one night with I'm not sure if they were playing LeBron's son or who it was. I know you had Drake in attendance, and there was somebody else. I can't remember who it was, celebrity, there for a high school. And this dude, so the bright lights are not too big for Jemiah Mashak. I think he's going to be I'm excited about him. Just what Rick Barnes has done with this roster, and, you know, had two coaches who went on to become head coaches, which is awesome. That's what you want. He brought in, you know, two good coaches to replace them. You know, we'll see. Is Kennedy Chandler going to be the starting point guard? I don't see any way he is not. You know, it was just announced he's playing on the USA Under-19 team. He is the one of, if not the top recruits in Tennessee program history. He's going to be absolutely huge for them. I really think this baseball team has lifted the stench and the funk off of Tennessee athletics. I think football's going to put out a respectable program, and I think the sky's the limit for basketball this year. I'm not saying national title or nothing like that, but I think we're going to get an idea early with this non-conference schedule, and I'm excited about it. I'm really excited because they have added Justin Powell is eligible immediately. There was some question on that. They have really filled any and all holes. There should not be any issues with the post game. There shouldn't be any questions with ball handling this year. This is going to be a strong team this year.
There's another $4.99 super chat from Elijah Allen. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it. It says, always a joy to listen to y'all. It's got me through some hard times. Thank y'all. Thank you, Elijah. Yep. It's very humbling. I've heard several people say that they go through difficult times, but they come hang out with us, and blows my mind, man. We are just like you guys, and I think that's why you enjoy it, because we're just regular dudes. Like we're not here putting on a front or pretending to be something we're not. We're just regular dudes that love Tennessee athletics. That's why we like to hang out with you guys and interact, and that's all we're doing tonight. Like Indy Kid tried to get me to go live last night. I have to get up early during the week, and I was like, man, I got to go to bed. And so I sent him a text and I said, let's go live, man. We enjoy being here interacting with you guys. So thank you. As much as you thank us, thank you guys for being here on a Friday night to hang out with us. Before we head out the door, let me share this up. I can't share my screen. Let me try that again. Struggling. Feel like the Indie Kid making a video. I just want to share it before. Sorry. Pick up some Talkin VAWLS merchandise. Like, I appreciate when you guys do, because it's free advertising, and we appreciate the support. But we do have these Diamond VAWLS shirts. If anybody hasn't seen them, if you're a fan of this baseball team and what they did this year, man, just a great year. Not what you wanted in the College World Series, but still a great year nonetheless. My stepbrother does a good job designing all this merchandise, so you can pick it up. I'll put the link in the description. It'll also be in the comments. But it's bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. JP's out the door. JP's gone. JP retired. JP's probably in a boat somewhere fishing, even though he was in the chat earlier tonight. So this is a collector's item. If you want the Talkin VAWLS Egghead shirt, we're never going to make one of these again. Never again, unless we just put an X over JP's face. I'm never making a cartoon emoji shirt again. So if you want one, you better get one. We're probably going to remove them soon. We've got the Vol Hoops. It's my favorite. I really love it. It's not my favorite, but it is a good shirt. This is my favorite. State Pride. But again, the links are in the description. If you guys want any of the Talkin VAWLS merch or just a coffee mug, go check it out. If not, that's cool. Hit that thumbs up on the way out the door. That's all you really got to do. That's all you really got to do is just hit that thumbs up, and we would appreciate it. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Thank you guys for joining us on this random Friday night. He's the Indie Kid. I'm Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
The songs, how